there, welcome to Weather HQ. I'm Paolo del Rosario. Today we bring you stories on how pollution affects our lungs and why Mindanao's coffee beans are gaining recognition in Southeast Asia. Now, first up, how does air quality affect our lung health? Now, I had the chance to speak with Dr. Gilbert Benedicto from the Lung Center of the Philippines and found out how pollution impacts our respiratory systems and what we can do to protect ourselves. Here's that conversation.
Each breath we take, it's a mixture of the air that we take in. And this means the air quality is really a main determinant po para sa kalusugan din ng baga. So you can just imagine if, let's say, you're taking each breath. Let's say you are breathing around 16 to 20 breaths per minute. Hindi ka pa niya nag-exercise, ha? And then you will note and you should be aware na kung pangit yung quality ng air na na-inhale mo.
Hi, Doc. So right now we're having a problem with your audio, but of course we're again talking to or trying to get back on the line si Dr. Gilbert Benedicto from the Lung Center of the Philippines, again as part of our celebration, rather our observance of National Lung Month. Doc, I think we have you back here. Of course, you did mention a while ago na around 16 to 20 or so breaths per minute na wala pang exercise nun. We do take in a lot of air and a lot of pollutants kasama doon. Let's talk about yung mga specific pollutants na kailangan talagang i-observe or be worried about. We hear terms like PM 2.5, nitrogen dioxide, and ozone. Can you explain what type of pollutants we actually have to watch out for in terms of yung lung health natin?
Definitely, Paolo, those are the things that we are monitoring on the ground. So you mentioned yung nitrous oxide, yung mga PM 2.25. So measurement lang po ito ng mga dust, let's say sa air and particulate materials. And definitely po, pag pumasok yan sa baga, poor quality of air, that will incite inflammation in the lungs and in our airway, and that will lead to certain diseases po.
Mm-hmm. And of course, you mentioned it a while ago, may particle size po yan. And we always hear about it when it comes from our local governments, talking about yung air quality. Ano nga ba yung difference ng PM10, PM 2.5, and why does it matter?
Definitely po, both will matter because you have to understand our air passages are equipped with defense mechanism. So nafi-filter po ng nose yan if it's too large, and then subsequently if it goes down our air passages, we do have some mechanisms in place to make sure that it's trapped there, it does not go all the way sa lungs. However, as the particulate matters become smaller, PM 2.5, yan na po yung naglalodge sa peripheral airways natin, sa baga po natin. And definitely, once this happens, these are the ones which exposes the lungs to possibly dirty air or dirty particles that can incite inflammation and certain diseases.
Mm-hmm. Doc, the European Respiratory Society says that tiny particles like yung PM10 at gases like nitrogen dioxide can actually cause and exacerbate diseases like COPD in particular. Doc, when we talk about that type of disease and of course how air quality affects people with COPD, just how much more careful should we be around yung polluted air?
Definitely, these are very important information. So what we are trying to say that each time, it's poor quality of air, then it goes down all the way sa lungs. This will incite inflammation, which leads to damages in the airway, especially the lungs. That's why it was proven already that such air quality can give rise to diseases such as COPD or what we commonly term as emphysema. Dahil po sa intense inflammation, intense poor quality of air, this will possibly strain your defense mechanism in the lungs, and definitely this will lead to destruction. Kaya po siya nagkaka-emphysema, kaya po tayo nagkakaroon ng COPD. So these are the things that we watch out for. Asthma exacerbations is also on the rise because of poor quality of air. Even, let's say, pneumonia. So those are the diseases attributed to poor air quality.
Now, in the same study that we mentioned a while ago, Doc, researchers also found that people living near mga busy roads or polluted areas are more likely to develop yung mga lung problems sa ganito. If we're also seeing that a bit here in the Philippines, if I'm not mistaken, especially that's urban sprawl natin dito sa Metro Manila in particular. How do we address living in situations like this to be able to take care of yung lung health natin?
Work and from school that is tied to poor quality of air. So you are right in saying that once you live in a busy street, in possibly in an urban setting, a lot of air traffic, a lot of land traffic goes in there. Yes, it can lead to certain absenteeism. If not, it will reduce your productivity. How do we prevent it? Well, number one, from our end, definitely yung mga nakokontrol natin, stop smoking. Do not already contribute to the poor air quality. Number two is possibly your vehicles. So as much as possible po, maging maganda po sana ang quality ng vehicles natin so that we won't contribute to the smoke emission. And definitely po, the way we live, no, the way we live. Iwasan po natin yung mga pagsiga, no, yung mga open fire, open pit, and then possibly the way we take care of ourselves. So if you know that the air quality is poor, maybe mask can possibly guard you against, let's say, possible attacks of COPD or asthma. And then there's always that possibility of prevention, of course. Huwag ka na lang lumabas pag masyadong poor yung quality of air, especially if you have underlying lung diseases.
Doc, you mentioned a while ago, hopefully stopping smoking will actually help save your lungs directly. Pero a lot of people also talk about yung mga secondhand smoke when it comes to vaping and when it comes to smoking as well. Should that also be considered when talking about yung air quality, especially from a very specific and localized setting?
Certainly, no? Certainly. So anything that we can do, siguro nga, we will start with the air around us. So the vaping pandemic is already should be already addressed already. Kasi nakita nyo naman the amount of smoke that comes from vape devices, no? So definitely secondhand smoke, even coming not just from cigarette but from vape, has really dangers, especially to one's health, if not contributing already to the poor air quality.
And of course, there are certain demographics that I think we can consider as more at risk, yung mga children, seniors, or people with pre-existing conditions. When you talk about those particular demographics, how do they live under this type of situation kung saan minsan talagang air quality is not up to the standard that they should be having to protect themselves?
Definitely, you have hit the nail on the head, Paolo. We certainly look at certain age group as more vulnerable. So extremes of age, the elderly, the children, those with underlying lung diseases. How should they take care of their lung health, especially in conditions na hindi nga nila control yung lahat ng contributors sa poor air quality? So number one, siguro prevention. So definitely, if they do have maintenance medications like inhalers, I would highly advise them to please be compliant and maging masunurin po sa ating maintenance na gamot. That's number one. Number two is don't already challenge kung yung lung health mo. So if you think the air quality is poor and it's really tied to your attacks, huwag ka na lang muna lumabas pag napaka-poor ng air quality. Number three, siguro is vaccination can help. So we are talking about your annual flu vaccine or your pneumonia vaccine as well. This could really help in preventing infectious exacerbations of or infectious attacks of your diseases.
When we return, why are coffee beans from Mindanao getting international attention? Well, we'll find out together. I spoke with a coffee expert who breaks it all down. Stay with us, Weather HQ. We'll be right back. Hello there, you're still watching Weather HQ. I'm Paolo del Rosario. Coffee grown in Davao del Sur and Sultan Kudarat has been selected to represent the Philippines at the upcoming Southeast Asia Green Coffee Competition this October. Now, to tell us why these beans stand out on the global stage, I spoke with Mr. Brando Mediano, a certified Q Arabica grader and chairperson of the Specialty Coffee Depot. Here's our conversation.
Southeast Asia Green Coffee Competition. So first of all, it's not just a contest, but it's also a platform for us to celebrate the coffees in our region, and while honoring the people who grow them, who are our farmers, our producers. And it's also an opportunity for our beloved farmers to receive recognition, feedback, and access to markets, both here in the Philippines and internationally. And actually, Sea Green is one of the cornerstone activities of the International Coffee Innovation Summit. And its primary purpose is to really promote Southeast Asia as a producer of high quality coffee. And winning coffees will go on a world tour, particularly to coffee consuming countries, to showcase the richness and potential of our regional origins. So.
When we talk about Southeast Asia, especially here in the region, normally iniisip ng mga ibang tao na Java, Indonesia, very great with their coffee, Vietnam, very distinctive with their coffee. But here, dito sa Pilipinas, Mindanao in particular has been one of the stars in terms of coffee production. In fact, in particular itong sa Davao del Sur, if I'm not mistaken, 8 out of the top 10 Arabica entries came from Bansalan, particularly Sitio Balutakay. What's the secret behind that? And of course, what is in the soil there that makes things unique?
So the whole country is really blessed with a wonderful land. So we are included in the coffee bean belt, or the coffee belt. So I believe it's really the strong network of our trained and experienced farmers, and lots of entities or quality focused cooperatives, and access to supports from like us and the FCI, or the Filipino Coffee Institute. And that, along with natural advantages of altitude, soil, water resources, and I think that gives Mount Apo the edge in both quality and quantity of submissions.
Yeah, you mentioned it a while ago, yung soil niya, the volcanic soil in particular, I'm sure has a big effect on it. The mountain weather, it has a unique flavor, a unique shape. Of course, when we look at yung characteristics ng Philippine coffee, would you say that in general, there is something about Philippine coffee that talagang medyo unique compared to our neighbors here in the region?
Yes, because for example, in Mount Apo, so I think it's just 20 to 30 kilometers away from Mount Apo Peak. So what's unique about Mount Apo is that the soil is, again, it's volcanic, so it has andesol, so it's rich in iron and magnesium, and also with potassium, with boron. So basically, the soil is really nutrient rich, and the roots of the coffee tree is able to penetrate, and also the drainage is also really good. But more than the nature, the environment, it's really so our producers, our farmers, they've been here for a long time, from one generation to another, and doing experiments, innovation, and there's that convergence of tradition and innovation. So their parents, they practice this sorting, this processing, and then the new generations, I know like John Lawrence and Lizelle and Rina, these are young farmers and producers who are really into research, and thank God we have the internet these days and YouTube. So yeah, combine that with the land, it's really special and exciting times for Philippine coffees.
I know you're an Arabica grader, but I want to talk about yung Robusta naman because on the Robusta side of things, Sultan Kudarat swept 7 out of the top 10. Now, that province in particular has a specialty grade Robusta. What makes Sultan Kudarat special in terms of coffee production?
Uh, it's again, it's also the farmers like
Mhm.
Rejan Basco is also very young, like I think in his early 20s. So they're doing this research and experiments, and just in fact in the latest IQ brewing, Amir Lim used Robusta coffee and won as national champion, because the Robusta before, Robusta is just like known for its like bold bitter flavors, but
Yeah.
now you can like taste fruity flavors and has, you know, more complexities. So Sultan Kudarat is really uh, doing successfully when it comes to processing Robusta beans. So yeah.
Dot, we actually did some more research on the work that you've done, and of course, talking about this coffee. Some of the quotes that you used here were, quote, thoughtfully grown and full of character. When we talk about those particular statements, when it comes to yung proseso, the beans, even the farmers, and those who are really promoting all of this, just what makes you say those words in particular? Is there any particular story that really sticks with you when you use these types of descriptions?
So because when we evaluate coffee, uh, there are different kinds of attributes that we have to consider,
Mm-hmm.
like fragrance, aroma, flavor, body, and aftertaste. Now, what makes our Philippine coffees really special is that we have fruity notes. Like for example, in Mount Apple, you can taste not only like two fruits, but like three to five or more uh, flavors. Like you can now taste because also of the new processing and the new experimentations. You can now before it's just like citrus and then black tea, but because of innovation, right now you can taste like uh, tropical fruits, mango, pineapple, um, cantaloupe even,
Mm-hmm.
and berries, then with black tea or chocolate and nuts, nutty aftertaste. So that with all those flavors, so the more flavors, the more complex the cup is, and yeah, that's really what makes uh, our local coffees these days very special. And also, you can, if you observe per year, the scores of our local coffees are increasing.
Yeah.
So that's backed by numbers also. So it means that indeed the quality of our coffee is also increasing.
You know, I don't think there's a question about the quality of our coffee in general, especially with
Yeah.
competitions like this, highlighting that as well. One of the most surprising numbers that I love bring up when we talk to anyone in the coffee industry is the fact that yung supply that we are producing here in the Philippines is, well, it falls very well short of yung demand of coffee here in the Philippines. When we talk about actually promoting local coffee growing and of course the art and the craft when it comes to that, how can we encourage the wider public to throw more support to our local coffee growers and of course encourage our local coffee growers to even do more and take care of them as we try to meet that rising demand dito sa Pilipinas?
So I believe that it starts with really understanding that uh, supporting local coffee is not just supporting local products, but you are actually supporting a family. a journey of a man or a woman passionately tending his or her land. So I think that that's really like you're supporting our farmers, and while you're supporting them, they make profits, and from their profits, they use this for further research, for experimentation. So yeah, I think that for me that's really the what makes me support local coffees even more is the story and the hard work and of our local farmers. So it's their stories, really supporting their stories, their narrative, their journey.
And that's a wrap for this week's episode of Weather HQ. Thank you so much for tuning in. I'm Paolo del Rosario. See you again next week right here on BNC, the Bilyonaryo News Channel.